to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we're doing another episode of Free Pattern Friday, and my daughter has asked me for pillow slip covers for her couch cushions, and she has picked grays that are just to die for out of my stash. So I was so happy to do this for her. But first, let me talk to you about Brigitte from Zen Chic. Her fabric lines and patterns are just singing to my heart because of their modern, lovely vibe. And she has a very different way of looking at fabric and design. And if you haven't seen her stuff or seen her fabric in your quilt stores, you need to go talk to the quilt store owner and tell them to order it because it's beautiful. So come on in, let's get to the sewing. Okay, my daughter has requested that I sew pillow slips for her couch pillows. So she went through my stash, and this is the kind of fabric she picked out. She loves gray golds, gray yellows, gray browns, like those lovely colors. And I did throw in some stuff that she, is going to be surprised at with, there's a little bit of embossing on this stuff. And I also got some drapery pulls or cord pulls or whatever these are. I had found some of this in my stash, and I found some amazing Japanese, this kind of heavily embossed fabric. So we're also and I also got some. She also picked out some lovely yellows and gray, and there's some embossed stuff here as well. Now, one of the things that happened is that some of this is the right size. Like from the pillows I'm making are 18 inches square. Some of this was the right size right off the hop. Some of it wasn't. Because fat quarters in Canada, they're just barely 18 inches by 22. So if I have to make a pillow out of this, now all of a sudden I'm like, I have to add seams and seam allowances, and I want them French seamed so that they're washable, right? Because she's going to put them on and off because her kids are, at this moment in time, are 7, 5, and 3. So her house is pretty busy. So let's take the backings of all this and just put it to the side for now. Now I do have pillows that were from fat quarters, or tops that were a little longer. And surprisingly enough, they were 20 inches, right? Like 20 and a quarter. So by the time you do the trimming on both sides, and then, you go the other way, this is what you end up with, right? Like this is a 20-inch square. So I'm going to try and show you both of them, but first, we have to make this big enough. So let's just pick one wild colored one here, and we'll go from there. So I have 1.5 inch black solid, and basically what we're going to do is I'm going to sew this just around the outside edge, right? Now I do have a Janome that I'm going to do a zigzag on, but after, all right, I'm going to take that off camera. So basically all I want to do is press this open. Now I could do this as a French seam, and I think that's what I'll end up doing right now, is we'll do a French seam on this. So that means the good side, bad side to bad side, right, is what you're going to do, right? So you're going to do it like this. Hang on. Let's do bad side to bad side, get sewn first. So it's counterintuitive, right? Bad side to bad side, bad side to bad side. So French seams are bad side to bad side because what you do is you just want a real scant quarter inch on this. Basically you're sewing, a French seam is sewn upside down. There we go. And I open my seams here just like this. Okay. And I'm going to stitch this just like that and clip that. Flip it straight across with your scissors. Okay. Now let's get that little plug. Now I'm going to show you what I mean by a French seam. So we're going to run the plug through. There. Okay, to do the French seam, you're putting wrong side with wrong side. There's my little seam. There's the wrong side of this fabric. And this is what you end up with when you're done. Now what you do with French seams, normally what they do is they're trimmed. They're trimmed really close, within 1/8 of an inch. That's why I say you can kind of go like scant quarter, and then you trim away. And what happens is that you enclose the seam now by making it go the other way. So there's my trim away. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this so it goes this way. And let me just get there. It's kind of like a top stitch thing that you do. Anyways, it works better once it's pressed. It's pressed in place, but oh well. Because you just want to enclose the little bit of it. Okay. There we go. And we get it started just like that. Now, you know, with little ones in the house, you want to make sure that what you're making holds up to being washed several times. So, all right. I'll do another side here so you can see how the corners come together. Because you got a French seam those as well, right? So you want like a real scant 1/4 inch, because we've cut out like a good part of the seam. So there we go. Whenever I do these, I have to think about how to do them. And now I'm going to show you how that seam now gets enclosed, just like that, like a great ta-da moment. Let me just finger press this out of the way. There we go. And I've added enough so that I've made this a little larger. So there we go. That's what that seam looks like now. And this is what it looks like from the back. There's nothing there. It's all enclosed, and it will be washed several times. Now I will show you how to do on a corner, what it looks like when you do a corner, right? So let's get, there we go. Bad side to bad side. Get sewn together, or a good side to good side. Get, you know, like normally you would put good side to good side, or to sew, but with French seams you put bad side to bad side. There. And I'm going to just do this with this foot, and I'm going to go, like, instead of having something I trim, I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch. Basically, I'm top stitching this down. So that saves me from clipping. Okay. Yeah, here we go. And now that's open. Now I'm coming up to that corner. Now I'm just I'm gonna pull it just slightly so that it lays nice and flat, and it will lay good. There we go. And I'm gonna just clip across There. Okay. So I'm just going to clip across. There we go. And now, when we do that French seam, because this has already been, instead of, you know, going through and trimming it again, right? You're basically now just going to flip it over and sew a real scant 1/4 inch to enclose this seam with that corner. So you want to pull it just a bit. Actually, what you could do is you could do this and make it all go one way, right? And then fold it nice and firmly. Fold it, and this is where you want to be a little more firm at the corner, because that's where you would, if you were ironing this, you would be using a lot of steam in your clapper just to make sure that that corner lies as flat as possible. And then you want to go with a real scant 1/4 inch. There we go. Now you're going to do the French seam again once we get into, I mean, we covered the French seams when we did the pillow face. Okay, so this is what this looks like. All the corners now are finished with this French seam. That's what it looks like from the back. And I know it's black on black. You're having a hard time with this, but it gives a nice little frame to the work. Now we're going to go to the back pieces. Now, excuse me. I have two pieces here. One is cut 15 by 20 and the other one is cut 12 by 20, right? Because I wanted these a little bit on the bigger side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this once like this and just finger press this 1/4 inch down, just like that, because it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be finished so it will wash well, right? That's all. I want to enclose my seams, or take the time to enclose my seams, because I don't want them unraveling as she washes, you know, grapefruit jam, or, you know, jam or juice or milk or whatever off of the pillows, right? I want her to be able to just throw them in the wash and not worry about it, right? This has got some cute embossing on it. It's got a little star print going on. I'll flip it over here in a sec. There, just like this. Isn't that cute? And it's all lovely embossing. So anyways, let's go. Now, I've got this finger pressed down, and I'm just going to hold it down in place while I follow along this one edge here. And you can do a little back stitching if you need to. Now, I might have cut my backing a little bit on the big side, but that's okay. You want to do this with both pieces. I was so glad she asked me to do something for her. You know, we do all sorts of things for our kids, but, you know, I have the fabric stash, and if, you know, we don't start using it up for different things, including charity quilts, I mean, it's, you know, it just starts piling up. She did ask for Christmas slip covers as well, so I'll get on to those as soon as I get the ones for her living room done that she wanted. She's got really nice gray couch and love seat and a rocking chair that was my dad's in her home. Okay, now you want to do the same with the 12-inch piece. You want to take that, you know, where it's 12 inches across, you just quickly fold over a 1/4, and it doesn't have to be a perfect 1/4. So, you know, don't get crazy over measuring or anything. Just, you all that's all you're doing right now, is making it fit. And yes, you can do them, you know, you can be very precise if you want. If that makes you happy, you can do it this way. But I have like a few of them to do, so I want this to be done fast. And it's a little different, you know, every time. We are going to do a French seam again when we're putting it onto the front, but I just want to finish this edge. There you go. Okay, now let's get this lined up, get it sewn down. You can even mix and match your backing, but I find this, once, if there's a little bit gaping going on, because it's, you know, stuffed too tight or, you know, anything like that, you don't see it open because there's good overlap. That's why I like using the same fabric for the top and the bottom of this. And there we go. Almost there. And now I'm going to cut to get my pins, because I forgot my pins. Okay, hopefully we got everything to do. This pillow case, actually, and when I gave you the dimensions, it was a little on the large side. The backing was a little on the large side. Trim it. Don't sit there and go, oh my gosh, I don't know what I've done. Just trim it. Just trim it and move on. You know, it's going to be, by the time we finish doing another pillow or French seam, right? Now, if I was just going to sew this together, I would sew it together like this, right? With the good side to good side and be done. That's not what we want to do. We want to go from the back to, we're going to sew it bad side to bad side first. And we're just going to line this up just a bit and grab a few pins. Like, we don't have to over pin it either. We can just, you know, because all we're going to do is make it work, right? And people don't look at the backside of pillowcases. And if your friends do, maybe you need to explain that they're not allowed to do that anymore. Because, wow. So it doesn't really matter which one you put down first, whether it's the 12-inch piece, like the 12 inches is this way, or the 15 piece, because you're going to flip it inside out, right, to once you've made your French seam. So now I'm just going to go up along here and make that work here this way. Just pin it here, and I'm not pinning on the seam per se. I am pinning quite a ways in from the seam, because I don't want to be fiddling with pins and whatnot. This makes such a nice finish inside as well. And of course I've got the world's dullest pins in here. Okay. Now we put the other side down, right? Just like that. Anyway, here. There we go. Let me pin that all on. And what we're going to do as well is we're going to do a really scant 1/4 inch seam all around the outside edge. And there's the overlap. Another one that overlaps. There we go. There. Basically what I'm doing is I'm pulling it from the one I've already put in and then putting it there. Now, okay, so here we go. We're going to put the 1/4 inch foot on again. These are so nice to do. They're very quick, and it's a quick update for your living room. You know, your pillows don't look so mangled. You know, sometimes they look mangled. Anyways, okay, let's get this. So just a 1/4 inch seam, real simple. Now, when you get to the corner, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the edges meet up, and any bulk you go over, because that's where it's going to pop. If it's going to pop at all, it will pop there at the corner. And you want to get this as close as you can to the quarter. There we go. And this is a little bit out. Oh well, it'll be fine. It's a little out. It's a little out. Well, that's okay. I just rough trimmed this to make it work. I rough trimmed it. I figured, okay. The inside of the pillow that nobody gets to see, right? So it'll be fine. And then I should take my pins out as we go. Now when you hit these seams where you fold it over, in fact, I believe if the pillowcase is going to pop, that's where it's going to pop. And so I give it just a little bit of a back stitch. Go. And just like that, we're almost at the corner again. The bigger piece is at the bottom, but that's okay. A little bulky area right there. Must have missed that other side. Oh well, that's okay. That's okay. We're coming together the home stretch. Okay, now this is where we turn it. And oh, I ran out of bobbin. And I ran out of bobbin quite a ways away. Okay, so let's go back and redo this. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, I ran out of bobbin. Quick change on the bobbin, and it'll be fine. Oh, so what's new going on in your sewing room? We set up our Facebook group. And we would love it if people would come and start posting stuff and just start having fun. There we go. And it doesn't have to be stuff you learn how to do from me. It can be anything, you know. I think we should get into a community of sharing and having fun, and it's all good. That's the community I want to go. And we need some input on what soul dates you guys would like to be. Whether you want them during the week, or after work, or when. So now I'm just going to turn this inside out. Just like so. So all the bad sides are on the outside. And I'm going to push out the corners just with my fingers at first. And we go the other side. This is the beauty of French seams. They're just so nice. Here's my needle, my knitting needle, or you can use one of those purple things or whatever. Basically, you're gently negotiating this out, because this is not going to be seen on the front, right? So it's not like mission imperative that you get this thing to pop out perfectly. It's just easier to sew because you know where to pivot, right? So just negotiate. Don't poke your needle through. That would be bad. Okay, and we change feet. And there we go. Now we're going to sew a half inch. A bit bigger than a half inch. Okay. So I want this side up, because then I know where my half inch is. Now I would take, if I was taking my time on this, this is my first one I have done. I haven't sewn slip covers for forever and ever and ever. So I would want to take this and iron it really well so that it lies absolutely perfectly flat. And remember, I've got a 1/4 inch seam. So I want to start a little bit like in this black, right? So I'm going to push this down the best I can, and basically it's a 3/8 seam that I'm making to cover up this 1/4 inch seam. So I want my 3/8. There we go. I got my 3/8. So we're just going to hold all of this down and do a 3/8 seam. That's the beauty of these French seams. You could trim it. I could have trimmed it to 1/8, but I wanted some structural, because it's a pillow. And it got hooked on it. Because it's a pillow, it's going to get lots of use, right? So you want it just a little bit firmer. On your 3/8 seam, and here. There, now I pivot and I pull this out to a 3/8. So let me get all the way around here, and any bulky area, go back over a couple times. I'll finish around here and then we'll get to the ta-da moment. Okay, here it is. It's even got a little black frame around the outside edge, so it looks kind of like fake piping, but it's not piping. It does measure 18 inches, and that French seam just covers up all the raw edges. There's nothing raw here. inside at all, right? Especially when you do a double one, where you do it from because the top was essentially too small for an 18-inch pillow, and you needed to put your seam allowance in. So this is a fun project. Now I have a few other ones I got to get done. Some of them do measure 20 inches, so they'll be easier to put together and with all the French seams and that. But what do you think of this? This was kind of fun. Remember, you kind of have to adjust sometimes how you do things. I thought the backing on these would be 20 inches. They're not, but that's okay. We figured it out. We have a pair of scissors. We just cut it off and make it work. Okay, so I hope you have a fabulous week. Don't forget to check out Brigitte from Zen Chic and tell your quilt store to order her fabric because it's just beautiful. Anyways, you have a great week. Bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for watching today. We're so happy about the way our channel has grown, and we just want to wish you so well in your journey along with us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Now, the next thing is this quilt. We are wondering if you guys would like this quilt as a free sew along on this channel this fall, this coming fall, winter. We were kind of thinking that this one would be really fun to do. We could do it in a larger size or a smaller size, it's up to you, but this one was a lot of fun to make. And it's all, it lends itself to being hand stitched, but you can also do this on a sewing machine as well. So let us know in the comments below. Remember, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Okay, have a great week ahead. Bye!